The rain fell like shattered glass against the broken windows of an abandoned farmhouse in the outskirts of Hollow Creek, where time seemed frozen and shadows whispered secrets to those brave or foolish enough to listen. Emily Hart had never believed in supernatural things. She was a practical woman, a journalist chasing her next big story about urban legends. The townsfolk spoke of a cursed relic known as the Mirror of Dreadhole, said to hold evil in its pure form. Laughing at superstition, she ventured alone into the rotting house, her flashlight trembling against the darkness that swallowed everything beyond a few feet. The air smelled like rust and death, thick enough to taste. As her boots crunched over glass and debris, the silence felt alive, as though the walls themselves watched her. Her recorder clicked on. "Day 1, she whispered. Investigation into the Dreadhole curse. Locals claim the mirror was once used by a witch to summon something that couldn't die or be forgiven." Her voice echoed strangely, slower, distorted, like the air bent around it. She brushed off the unease. Recording equipment glitches were common in old houses. She moved toward a large sheet draped in the far corner. Beneath it, she felt the cold, pulsing presence of something ancient. When she ripped the cloth away, there it was, the mirror. It wasn't cracked or dirty despite decades of neglect. It looked new, perfectly clean, reflecting her face with unnatural sharpness, like the reflection was studying her instead. The frame was carved with symbols she couldn't recognize, spirals, eyes, teeth. She leaned closer. Her reflection smiled before she did. Emily froze. Her heart pounded so violently it felt like her ribs would break. Slowly, she lifted her hand. The reflection moved a second late, its grin widening, teeth sharper, eyes darker. "What the hell?" she whispered. The mirror flickered, and for a heartbeat, she saw another woman, a face pale and twisted, blood streaming from empty eye sockets. Emily stumbled back, her flashlight dying as if sucked into the glass. The air grew heavy, a low hum filling the room, vibrating through the floorboards and into her bones. A voice echoed inside her mind, not heard but felt. "You called me." The mirror's surface rippled like black water. Something moved beneath it, a shape too large to fit within the boundaries of the frame. Emily ran, her boots slamming against the decaying wood, but every door she reached was locked, nailed, or vanished entirely. The farmhouse stretched endlessly, a maze that rearranged itself with each turn. Hallways led back to the mirror room again and again. The whisper followed her, layered voices speaking in different tones. Childlike laughter, guttural growls, whispers of her own voice saying, "Stay." She screamed into the darkness. "What do you want from me?" The reply came from everywhere and nowhere. A witness. The mirror began to show scenes she couldn't bear. People she knew, their reflections twisting, their eyes bleeding. Her father hanging in their old home. Her mother's reflection scratching her own face off. Emily collapsed to her knees, sobbing, clawing at her temples to make it stop. But the mirror pulsed brighter with every tear, feeding on her fear, growing stronger. From the rippling glass, a hand emerged, skeletal, slick with black tar, its nails like razors. Then another. Then a face, eyeless but smiling, pushing through as the glass stretched like skin. Emily crawled back, but her limbs felt heavy, as if invisible chains dragged her toward the mirror. The entity's voice whispered directly in her ear, though it stood 10 feet away. "You look for evil. Now you found it." Her camera fell, recording everything. The trembling floor, the flickering lights, and her terrified eyes as the creature climbed out completely, dripping, towering, formless yet human. It leaned close, its breath cold enough to frost her eyelashes. "Do you know what pure evil is, Emily?" it hissed. "It's not me. It's you." The mirror flashed, blinding white. When her vision returned, she was standing in front of the mirror again, but the reflection was gone. The glass now showed an empty room behind her. Trembling, she whispered, "Hello," but her own voice didn't echo. Then she saw it. A faint figure standing inside the mirror, looking out. It was her. Only her reflection wasn't afraid anymore. It smiled, eyes black, a tear of ink running down her cheek. Her hand moved on its own and touched the surface. Her reflection pressed back. The glass felt warm, alive. In one horrific instant, her reflection pulled her through. Emily's scream vanished into silence. The next morning, a group of hikers stumbled across the old farmhouse. They found her camera on the floor, still recording static. The mirror stood untouched, reflecting the empty room. But when one hiker looked closer, he swore he saw a woman inside, pale, expressionless, pressing her hands against the glass as though begging to be released. When the locals recovered the footage, they found only 30 seconds of usable video. Emily whispering, "Evil isn't something you find. It's something that finds you." That night, the farmhouse burned to the ground. But the mirror was never found among the ashes. Weeks later, a man in another state bought an antique mirror at an estate sale. Its surface flawless, its frame engraved with strange symbols. He smiled at his reflection, not noticing that his reflection didn't smile back. And deep within that reflection, a pair of dark eyes watched quietly, waiting for another soul foolish enough to seek the truth about evil in its pure form.